Since it's been 3 days and this has yet to become a really bad dream that I haven't woken up from, I'm going to explain to you guys some of the reasons why I didn't figure this out. And I'm going to put on the makeup he bought me while I do it. For a little recap, I met this guy a little over 2 months ago. We talked on the phone every day, texted all day long. Nothing seemed out of the ordinary. So, number one, he told me that he didn't have any social media except for Snapchat, and I tried to FBI it and figure out if I could find some kind of social media that he was old, that he just didn't use anymore or something, and I couldn't find it anywhere. Eventually, after I found out about his wife, she sent me her Facebook page, and I did find one thing that he was tagged on, but his whole Facebook page was just pictures of his wife and one of his kids, and he wasn't on it anywhere. So there was that. And to add to that, he had the most basic name that someone can have. Basic first name, very basic last name. So it was I would type his name in on social media and there'd be thousands of accounts because so many people have the same name as him. Another thing, the night that we went out, the night that I met him while we were out, like I said in the last video, we hung out all night with 5 of his friends, one of whom was married. So you would think, me being the person that I am, I was oh, well, they would have said something. Apparently not. Another reason that I didn't figure it out is because in the background of all the Snapchats he would send me and stuff, he looked like he lived alone. And it wasn't like he would always Snapchat me from the exact same place. It would be different parts around what I thought was his apartment. And he looked like a bachelor who lived by himself. The thing about this guy, too, was that not only did he have lies, he had lies for his lies, right? So, he told me that I asked him if he had any roommates. He said no, he lived alone. Clearly that was a lie, because he, has 3 of them, apparently. But he told me this story one time about one night when he got, he had just gotten home from work, and he was walking into his apartment, and something happened. And so, he was, telling me this story as if it had just happened in real time. So, he was very convincing because I had no reason to doubt that he was lying about what he said. Same thing with the cruise that he told me he was on with his friends from high school. He, all the pictures and stuff that he sent me, he looked like he was there alone. He did not, or not alone, but with his friends. He did not look like he was there with a wife and 2 children. There was another time he told me oh yeah, I'm having a barbecue with the guys from work later, and he sent me pictures from it of what they were doing and hanging out. His wife was there the entire time. And mind you, while he was at this barbecue, he was there with his friends that were there the night that I met him, so they all knew what was going on and just didn't tell his wife. Also, side note, apparently he used his wife's Sky Miles to get the plane ticket that he was going to use to come see me. Another thing, and I think this might be one of the main parts of it, is one of my friends is also talking to a guy who's the same age that he told me he was, and we were comparing notes about the way they would text and their lack of emojis and things like that, and everything, he was acting just like this guy who he said he was the same age as. So it wasn't I was wait, that's weird, because he doesn't do that. It was the exact same all the time. Me and my friend and her boyfriend and this guy were all in a group chat together. We had because they had so much stuff in common that we were oh, maybe they'll be friends too. As best friends hope that their boyfriends will be friends. So they had so much in common that we put them in a group chat and no one suspected a thing. Another thing too is the way that we would talk about stuff. He would ask me questions. We had hypothetical conversations about things, because I was I'm not gonna just date this guy who's older than me just cause. So we would talk about stuff, and he asked me one time if I wanted to have kids, and I was yeah, I do, and I also want to adopt, and he was no way, me too. So we got into this whole conversation about adopting children and things. Red flag, looking back on it, that was bad. But he was talking to me about actual stuff. It wasn't what you would think someone who's cheating on their wife would talk about. It didn't seem he genuinely just seemed he wanted a relationship, and I think that he probably just convinced himself in some way that he was a single 28-year-old man, because, or maybe he's a psychopath, I don't know. One way or another though, this guy is wonky in the head. But I don't know, everything just seemed so normal. And to me, like, this could just be me being naive, but I was like, oh, well, if he had a wife and 2 kids, right? Like, he's not gonna send me $200. But it was just like, I don't know, things that you wouldn't think someone would do in this situation because it would put them at a greater risk of getting caught. And also, back to the thing about the friends, I had a video saved in our chats from this night that he went out with the guys, and he told me one of his friends was picking on him because he kept Snapchatting me, and he was like, why are you taking pictures of yourself? So he sent me a video of his friend saying hi to me. He said my name. So, like, to me, like, if it was the other way around and it was me and my friends would rat my butt out so fast, right? Like, I, just kind of figured, since all this was going on, and he told me they stopped at his sister's house before they went on their cruise, and he told me that he had, like, told his sister about me and made up all these stories about conversations they'd had about me. And obviously, I'm thinking, if you have a wife, you're not going to tell your sister about me, which obviously I know they were all lies now, but, like, it just seemed so well thought out. And I never caught him, like, he would never tell me one thing, and then I'd be like, ask him about it again, and he would say something else. Like, he remembered what he told me. So I never caught him lying about anything. I also still just can't get over the fact that when I was on the phone with this woman, she hit me with I'd really appreciate it if you don't have a relationship with my husband anymore. Ma'am, he is 15 years older than me. He lied to me about it, and now I know about you and your children. I'm not as delusional as her husband. Promise. Now, might I add, this man told me on the phone when I called him to make sure he wasn't still going to try to come visit, that he was going to ask me to be his girlfriend and told me he loved me. So he really just thought that this was just going places. I've only ever read about things like this in books. Like, I didn't think it was actually going to happen in real life. Did I think it was going to happen to me? Absolutely not. I thought that I would have figured it out way before it went this far. Anyway, life goes on, right? I don't know how you, like, move on from something like this. Like, I can't just pretend it never happened, because obviously it did. I could try. That might not be healthy. I don't know. But we'll see what happens. Maybe I'll end up back on Dr. Phil again. Who knows?
Wow, that sounds really intense, honestly, to go through all that at a first date, to spend like a few weeks with a guy and then not realize he was married. That is so awful. You never really know someone when you meet someone when you go out of town. And I just feel like she went through so much in that video, and I hope that she's okay now and everything works out for the best, because I think that not knowing that somebody is married is so crazy. It's so mind-blowing to me that people could just go out into the world and tell you one thing, but really it's another. I guess you never really know, because that's just what the world is about.
Send in your videos to be featured on our channel. Thanks for watching awesome videos. Like and follow.